violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. But I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video. All right, guys. So I was made aware of this video. This is what's going on this weekend, this Juneteenth weekend in Chicago. These super gremlins acting the fool, blocking up the streets, you know, flash mobs. We've seen this before, okay? This happened at the Bean. That one time where we covered it, where that young man was killed. And this just appears to be a common occurrence in Chicago. And I'm going to show you how these people are acting, how these people are conducting themselves. And you tell me if this looks like individuals who are disenfranchised, marginalized, and whatnot. So they're jumping on random people's cars, and guess what the women are doing? You guessed it. They're twerking. They're twerking. And you have people in the community who will defend the action of twerking vigorously. No, it's harmless. It's this, it's that, like. But then you have these sisters who are out here making a mockery of the community, making a fool out of themselves, objectifying themselves by twerking on a random glider's vehicle. And they're lucky that he did not run them over. And if he would have pulled a Waukesha and just floored it, they would have called him a racist. I mean, this stuff got to stop, and it won't. But it's just embarrassing. Obviously, y'all know what I'm gonna say. Sisters, come get your kids, because this is getting out of hand. They think it's funny. They think it's cute. And the police came and got them off. Does this look like individuals who fear the police? They're just so scared of the police, right? That they twerk on top of a car in their presence.
This morning, 3 shooting victims are in area hospitals recovering from injuries. According to Chicago police, the victims were caught in crossfire in the city's West Englewood neighborhood. The first incident happened near 56th and South Paulina Street just before 9 o'clock last night. Preliminary investigation says that the third victim was shot a few blocks away on South Marshfield Avenue.
Good morning. Happy Father's Day to everyone. And really, there's a reason this is held today, to bring awareness to just how much fathers do, specifically black fathers, while growing up and raising kids in such a difficult time. Now, go ahead and look at what we're seeing right here. Now, this is the end spot, so not much going on here right now. That's because all the runners are taking on a 5K, 3.1 miles right now for a greater cause.
And this event was called Men Run These Streets. They didn't even spell these right. They spelled it D-E-E-Z. What type of precedent does this set for the community? What type of illiterate, dysfunctional precedent does this set for these super gremlins on Demon Time? You know, and it starts with the little things. And by the little things, I mean doing things the right way. Like I don't know, spelling these right, spelling these correctly. You know, this is why there will be no progress. There will be no solution. And I know people are upset in my comment. Well, you can't just say there's no, well, y'all aren't going to allow there to, and I'm not saying this to say, oh, you can't fix the problem. Yeah, you can, but the community will not allow functional, intelligent, cognizant, upright, people who stand on convictions to solve this issue. They'll never allow it.
Bringing awareness to the mental health struggles within the Black community. 2 local running clubs came up with this. It's the 3rd year of the event, trying to commemorate George Floyd's legacy.
Oh, God. Then you connect the event with good old George Floyd. It's OV for the community, bro.
The run, it raises funds for mental health in his honor. They're hoping to bring awareness to those issues that are specifically impacting the Black community due to gun violence and increased emotional disturbance. So again, we've already seen the runners take off this morning. They've been going at it. I've seen about 50 of them taking on the course, 3.1 miles. And like one of these activists just told me, the cause of this isn't very great in terms of why they're doing this and what they're having to deal with, but the funds they're raising for it is so incredible.
And we're going to have to follow where those funds go, because when we see these community-led fundraisers, it's usually used to fill the pockets of the organizers. Look at the Black Lives Matter movement. So let's see where these funds end up going. And hopefully, hopefully they go toward a good cause. All right. Hopefully.
And for it to happen on Father's Day really means a lot to everyone here and within the community.
New at 4:30, Chicago police are searching for the gunman who killed this woman in the Roseland neighborhood.
Her name is Akiva Amani Petway Moody. CBS 2's Sabrina Franza is live outside the Chicago Police Department's 5th District Station. Sabrina, you spoke with the woman's family.
Jim Marie, we spoke with Akiva's mother. Her mother was so proud of Akiva, a mother of 6, a beloved dance instructor. Now she's gone.
You've hurt 6 children. You've hurt 3 grandchildren. You've hurt a great-great-grandmother. And most of all, you hurt her parents.
And shout out to this sister right here, Akiva's mama. I'm gonna tell you what right now, the Super Gremlins don't care. They're smoking on an Akiva pack right now, respectfully. And it's unfortunate. It's a disgrace. But I need you sisters to get it through your thick head that these Super Gremlins don't care. And as long as you continue to make excuses for these guys, they are going to continue to terrorize the community and continue the demon time activities.
Akiva Amani Petway Moody's mother relays her message to the person that did this. This morning, her daughter Akiva was shot and killed sitting in the passenger seat of a car parked on State Street near West 107th. The driver had just gotten out of that car. Another passenger was in the back seat. The 42-year-old was shot in the head just before 1 a.m. They don't know who did it, and they do not know why. Akiva was a beloved dance instructor with a passion for teaching tap and jazz. She'd been...
What is up with these dancers in the community getting X'd out? I mean, we saw the story of Daishia Hall in Atlanta, and I believe she was on a reality show. She was on television and she got X'd out outside of the Kroger. And you have these Super Gremlins going out here, deleting these sisters, and on the same end, they're over here protesting and creating fundraising events with guys like George Floyd who are attached to it. And if you guys don't know, George Floyd held up a pregnant woman, robbed her, strong arm robbery, put a gun to her belly, said, shh, if you talk, you and the baby dies. And you know, the sisters will come out in droves for guys like Jacob Blake, a guy who sexually assaulted his baby mother and violated a restraining order, right? So it's like the sisters on one end say, oh, we want the violence to stop. But then whenever these guys go and terrorize the city, they're defending them. Guys like Rashard Brooks abused his children, probably abused this woman too. She probably just didn't report it, because I mean, if you're abusing the children, you're probably abusing the woman too. So it literally doesn't make sense. There's so many contradictions in the community, and until we start addressing these issues, things aren't going to change, and it's going to continue to happen. Therefore, the no solutions rhetoric, the idea that there are no solutions to solve this issue in the community, I mean, it stands strong. Because like I said, the people in the community will not allow solutions to even be presented, because the solutions will appear racist.
Been doing that since she was 14 years old. She graduated with honors from Rich South High School before starting to study accounting and dance at Olive Harvey College. She never got to finish. Surveillance video from across the street captures police lights on for hours, investigating what happened. By the time Donna, her mother, got the call, her daughter had already been taken to Christ Hospital and was pronounced dead.
I don't want any other parent to have to experience this. And I know I'm not the first one. I know there has been bullets that have come through people's windows and have killed their children innocently. I understand all of that.
Yeah, she's right. She's not the first one, and she's not going to be the last to lose a child in the community. Happy Juneteenth.
I just want you all to understand, you're taking people's lives like they're nothing.
And coming up tonight at 6, you'll hear more from Akiva's family. Meanwhile, police, they're still investigating and have not yet made any arrests. We're live outside the 5th District. Sabrina Franza, CBS 2 News.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
Democrats have done quite a lot to support our first responders, in particular our police.
Cap, y'all the ones who was talking about some defund the police. I mean, these people just lie
across the state.
Governor Pritzker defending his party's record on fighting crime. One day after a voter revolt in California unseated a progressive prosecutor.
Let's bring in our political editor, Mike Flannery, with more on this. Mike.
Well, Sally and Natalie, Republican candidates continue to blast Governor Pritzker for signing a law that, among other things, will abolish cash bail on January 1st. They claim it will increase the number of defendants released before trial.
Yep, and that's already happening. It's already happening, and these people, they are trying to lull you to sleep. They're trying to make sure that they don't come off as controversial or racist or whatnot. And they're passing these laws and these bills that pretty much enable criminals to do what they do.
What he's doing is letting violent criminals back out in the streets into our communities.
Yep.
After Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin spoke, touring a suburban factory with 3 other members of a Republican primary slate, Pritzker was asked about these complaints regarding a law that is known as the Safety Act. He cited a letter that Irvin wrote to a state lawmaker when Irvin was seeking changes to the criminal justice reform law. Pritzker rattled off some items that have been appropriated for local law enforcement.
Making sure that we're providing funding for body cameras, more funding for police departments. I've increased significantly the number of state police.
Wow, look at the way that the rhetoric has changed. We went from defund the police just 2 years ago, redistributing the funds from the police department to other programs that will help educate and revitalize the community and reimagine the way these super gremlins get on demon time.
We've got new state police cadet classes of hundreds of people this year who are going to be added to our state police. We've put cameras across expressways. We're catching some of the bad guys as a result of the work that we're doing on the expressways.
Y'all are catching some of the bad guys. Well, from my understanding, Chicago only solves about 87 or they solve about 13% of the murders, meaning that 87% of the murders go unsolved. So if that's what you mean by catching the bad guys, then you're going to have to do a lot more catching for us to think that you are actually being responsibly effective.
Despite all that, though, some Democrats here are nervous about the so-called Safety Act and the end of cash bail scheduled to take effect on January 1st after voters in ultra-liberal.
And honestly, I think that this is a horrible thing. But, you know, I also don't feel bad for the liberals who get caught up in this crime storm that they created.
San Francisco tossed out of office prosecutor Chesa Boudin, one of whose signature policies was to not use cash bail. Boudin, by the way, grew up here in Hyde Park on the south side. His loss yesterday was by a landslide. More than 60% of San Francisco voters apparently agreeing with critics who accuse Boudin of being too soft on crime. I'm political.
From Chicago's West Side is among those testifying before a Senate Judiciary Committee on the impact of gun violence on children. 19-year-old Ernest Willingham grew up surrounded by gun violence. Several of his family members have been shot, and 4 years ago, he lost a close friend in a shooting. He told lawmakers they need to step up.
Ask any young person in Chicago, how many weddings have you attended? Very few would have attended one.
And he's right. Listen up.
However, most have attended at least a dozen funerals. I attended an 8th grade graduation this past week with kids ranging from 12 to 14 years of age. As I looked around, I saw parents bawling their eyes out, not just because they were proud, but because they were not burying their children.
And shout out to this brother, Ernest Willingham. Obviously, he sounds a little moist, okay, a little zesty, but he's right, okay? And if that's what it's going to take, the LGBT community to step up and speak out against it, hey, man, it is what it is. Because obviously they don't want to listen to guys like me. I'm a coon Uncle Tom sellout, right? But you can't really question this guy because he is triple minority, right? Okay, so he's part of the LGBT community. He's part of the community. And he is a young black male. So we've got all of these different minority qualifications, disenfranchised qualifications that he has. And these are pretty much the only people that can really speak up objectively about the issues in the community, because only like guys like this, LGBT brothers and sisters, because you know, the straight black men, we're kind of seen as, oh, well, you know, you're judging, or y'all left the hood and this and the third, and oh, well, you caping for master and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, these are the comments that I get in my comment section. So, I mean, I can't really, I can only show you guys what's going on. I can't, like, people are telling me, oh, you should get politically involved. And look, I'll vote, but that's about all I'm going to do, because I'm not finna get up in the mix of this stuff. And like, dude, it's pointless. It's pointless for them to drag you and say this about you and say that about you, not even knowing you, when in all actuality, who cares more than me, right? Who cares more than the people who are actually covering these stories and shedding a light on these stories? But the community doesn't want to hear this. They don't want to hear this. We are suffering from a sickness right now. not only the super gremlins who are doing these atrocious crimes, but the sisters who defend them, adamantly defend them.
I plead with you to pass common sense gun legislation so children and youth can.
And there we go. Gun legislation is going to solve it. Brother, there's already gun legislation. These super gremlins are not supposed to be having guns in Chicago yet. They still possess the weapons. It's not about gun legislation. It's not about laws. It's about reimagining what y'all reimagined in the first place. Let's bring it back to reality, okay? When somebody does something wrong, give them time. All right? Violent crimes, give them time. When people are committing violent crimes, keep them locked up. Stop with the bail reform, the supervised release, the ankle monitors, murderers being out on ankle monitors and all this kind of, like, come on. He over here like talking this nonsense, like common sense guns legislation and like, no, bruh. Crime bill.
Can grow up in safe communities.
He also talked about the importance of programs that support survivors of trauma, including one at Chicago's Lurie Children's Hospital. He says that program changed his life. Now, Ernest is a student at Northeastern University in Boston, studying health sciences and wants to become a doctor. Again, he's from here, though. He's the youngest of 11 children and the first male in his family to attend high school.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.